And okay, we're recording. So welcome to the inaugural edition of Just Life with Adam and Friends, where we are real, uncensored, and taking a lighthearted look at business and life. Today I have with me Jennifer Lowe Thompson, Mickey Reeder, and David Schmeichel on the mic. So thank you all for joining us today, and let's get into it. We are talking about just business and life and being human. The first topic I want to talk about is with the advent of this whole digital platform and the whole Zoom meetings, like I'm Zooming out like every day, like 10 times a day. I've noticed there's a couple of benefits. One, I don't have to worry about my breath, my deodorant, or my cologne. It's freaking so free. Two, I don't have to worry about my footwear or pants are optional. What is it you like about the Zoom environment?
Well, I got to say, I got my pants on.
Okay, that is comforting.
Yeah, I just wanted to put that disclaimer in there because I know that's a thing, but I just couldn't possibly be comfortable without like being on a call without having pants on. So I just wanted to throw that in there. For myself, this has just been the norm for me anyways. I've run my own gig, have for 11 years. And maybe the thing I appreciate most is that others are now starting to see what I've experienced for a long time.
Plus, you're a gamer. You are.
I am, yes.
You game and you talk to people while you're gaming and do stuff like that.
I try. Sometimes I can't do more than two things at once. Mickey, you might relate to that, no?
Yeah, I'm not sure I can do one thing at once. I think there's a massive fallacy of being able to multitask, and it is a fallacy. We can't multitask. We just pay less attention on 2, 3, 4, 5 tasks as opposed to being present on the one. Great question. I'm not sure I'm enjoying anything about this Zooming. I'm old, and I recall a dear mentor of mine telling me years ago about the telephone, that the telephone is there to arrange meetings, not have them. Now, I guess this is one step better because we get to look at two-dimensional facsimiles of each other as we're spouting the shit that we do. But look, I'm looking forward to a time when we can have not virtual coffees, not virtual meetups, but real ones. We've been meeting as individuals for tens and hundreds of thousands of years. So I miss that. I also grew up in a very tactile family, and I really miss that. Although again, one has to temper that, right? Because being tactile, unless it's reciprocated very early, can lead to all sorts of issues. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Not everybody's a hugger. Not everybody's a hugger.
Well, you need permission first, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
you can get in trouble for just going in and dropping hugs on people.
Well, how does one hug via Zoom, Jennifer?
You just
kind of like this.
Asterisk. Here, give me a hug.
You'd be real awkward about it.
Well, Jennifer and I were talking yesterday about how the Zoom has actually got some liberation to it. Right? You were talking about how it's working in your world and in your business.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I'm looking at the people that I normally don't connect with, and like just even on the social side, my husband's family is pretty much all in the States. And we started happy hour weekly. And so we've been doing that for the last few weeks on Fridays at 5:00. And then we discovered, we're like, when's the last time we actually hung out together as a whole group? And it has been over 7 years. And we're like, why did it take us this long to figure out, hey, why don't we just have a weekly Zoom or even like a monthly Zoom? So we've been able to definitely connect with family more. We have a big team, so it's hard to connect with everyone at once. And again, we started a coffee talk on Fridays at 10. And so we just have this awesome hour together. And one of our guys, he's such a jokester. He just comes on, makes everyone laugh literally for an hour. So I look forward to that hour of my week. And, like you said, like with our business, it's been crazy. We have literally almost doubled our production. We've doubled our production and we've grown in about 90% in our recruitment rate. through the Zoom platform. So I'm like the person that's
Awesome.
like glass half full. Like I'm loving this. And again, you know, I totally get what you're saying, Mickey. I am such a people's person. I love having the coffee and being face to face with people. So don't get me wrong. I still love that and I miss that. But also I'm really choosing to see the glass is half full in the situation where we can access so many other avenues of connecting with people that we normally don't, where it's like I can go and connect with someone in Toronto by Zoom within like 2 seconds, right? So it does create a whole new perspective of connection, which I mean, I'm totally taking full advantage of. So
That's awesome to hear. Awesome to hear. And another couple benefits I've realized is that at any given moment, I can mute myself. So if I suddenly feel like a strong reaction coming on, like, I don't know if this has happened to you, but you're on a Zoom call and somebody's talking, you're thinking, wow, what an idiot. Like, I don't know if that happens, but it's almost like you don't catch it and it starts to surface and you start to say stuff, instantly mute. And what's even more powerful is suddenly if you have to like deal with something, which you couldn't possibly deal with in a physical meeting, you can hit stop video and boom, you disappear. Those are pretty powerful. Those are nice options to have that you don't have in the real world.
I'm trying to
That'd
find.
be interesting.
I'm trying to find the mute button to mute you, Adam.
I have the mute power.
Administrator privileges only. Speaking of that, I think you have to give me some access so that I can liberally mute and turn people off.
See, are you always a control person? Like, is that your issue?
You know, I do have control issues. Yes. Speak to my wife. I must have control. I blame my father for that one.
I don't mind surrendering. I just don't know how to do it. So there's
I got that.
challenges that I'm still working through. I've got mute and stop video down. So,
Amen. Don't complicate things.
right. The other thing that's awesome is the varied backgrounds. I tell you, I got very tired of going to the same boardroom in my old building, and we had 37 rooms, so I got to switch it up lots. But I still got bored. Now, every meeting's like a new meeting room. I get to see
and you can change your
Jennifer's
background too.
I get to see Dave's background. I get to see Mickey's background, and you can like drop in backgrounds. Although I don't think that technology is perfected because it looks. You ever notice like it weirds out?
You like
half the
disappear.
person's head or face
Yeah.
disappear into
you
the
know
game.
that John's is a like background like that? I said to him,
Yes.
I was like, yours looks perfect. I'm like, where are you? He's like, it's a fake background. I'm like, no, it's not. His is really good.
It works.
He probably
really
has a
well
green
if
screen.
You don't have hair. Like, the less hair you have, the tighter that image is.
Mickey,
Mickey, would you like to do a demo?
pull that off.
Well, you know, I am. The background that you see is not real. I'm actually in Saskatchewan in an open field, so it works perfectly, right?
That's true. That's so true. And what do you think, to explore a little bit about what you said, Mickey? Because I freaking love being with people. I love being in their presence. I love the environment, the smell. I do like a handshake or a hug. I think that's a great way to connect with people. I like the being able to read the full body language of individuals and kind of flow off of that stuff. Whereas here you're kind of talking head or shoulders. Do you guys miss it? I know you do, Mickey, but and how do you feel that? Like I went to a meeting the other day with a fella that I met. We were being responsible. We met in a park, we went for a walk, and we're discussing things. It was very good, very good. But then it got cold, and we still weren't done our meeting. So he says, "Do you want to come into my car?" Wink, wink. No. "Do you want to come into my
I don't know where this was going, Adam.
So I get in his car with him, but I felt two things. One, I felt a little bit like, am I putting myself at risk? And two, I felt a little bit naughty.
I bet you did. You enjoyed that, didn't you?
So then we're sitting there carrying on. The RCMP drive behind, and he starts to wig out. Like he can't even be with me, like talk, because he's like, are we going to suddenly get a ticket?
Yeah.
They went on. We had a fabulous meeting, finished our talk and our tidbits, and then carried on. But that was so satisfying and weird at the same time. If you had any experiences like that in the last month.
Adam, have you had any experiences like that post-COVID? Because that clearly happened in January or February, right?
No, it was last week. No, I'm not reliving some sort of fantasy. This really happened.
I had that
Is this something that we
experience.
don't know about?
I had that experience 2 days ago with my neighbor who was helping with some of my kids' BMXs. He's got a setup to maintain bikes. But he does mountain bikes. So he's not equipped necessarily or has the understanding for BMXs, but nonetheless, we tried it out, and it was weird because, and I totally get why. He's got a young son who's got asthma and all of that stuff. So, okay, totally appreciate it. But what was jarring was when I came closer, he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And started the explanation, and we got to maintain our distance, and can you take a couple steps back? And it was like fucking weird. Like I was viscerally, I let it go, but I was viscerally reacted by it. And and I get why, but oh man, I did not like it. I don't like it. I don't like waiting in the lineups at the stores now. It's like pervasively everywhere. I have a very visceral reaction to all of this, and every time I'm out and about, yeah, I don't like it. It's very uncomfortable for me. Like the need now to separate ourselves that way is not natural, right?
Yeah.
Jennifer, what about you? Are you staying?
I feel like I'm pretty blessed because we are allowed to go to our office in a way. Like, I mean, of course, having social distancing, being responsible because we're an essential service. And so, we'll drop by the office probably once or twice a week at least, just to get some sanity, because it's weird to not be around people.
Right.
We've grown up all our lives always being around people. Like, it's like, at the end of the day, after work, hey, you want to go for a drink? Do you want to go hang out? Do you want to go for a run? You're always around people. And what I've actually started to realize in the last little while is like, I totally relate to you as well, David, when you're like just getting this visceral reaction. Like, it's weird. It's uncomfortable. And I'm like, I guess, what am I learning from this? Like, why do I feel uncomfortable by being by myself, or like being kind of like blocked off from the world? And I think in a way, I'm kind of seeing it in a perspective of, this is a time where I can actually kind of reflect inwards. Like, what's there for me when I react to things? And I've noticed like there has been some situations where I'm very reactive and I'm like, oh, like it's just right there. And I'm like, what am I learning about myself? What is this that I'm telling myself about the situation or like a person? Because I totally had that situation where someone literally stepped back and I'm like,
what's your problem?
Yeah, that's my initial reaction. That's my initial reaction. And then I look inwards, I'm like, why am I reacting so much to this person or like this situation where it's completely out of my control? Like, I cannot control COVID. I cannot control not being with people. And so, I don't know, in the last, I'd say like week or so, I've done a lot of deep reflecting, and I started writing poetry again, which I haven't done in years. And just working on my art. Like, you said your wife's an artist. I totally want to see her art, by the way.
She does workshops, by the way, watercolor workshops online.
Oh my gosh.
Just saying.
Yeah, super fun.
I'm just saying. Awesome.
Super
New
cool.
connection. This is actually one of my pieces that I've done. It's crystals in a wine glass / water glass, obviously before 10 a.m.
It's empty. You emptied it already this morning?
Not vodka. But yeah, no, it's really interesting. I'm starting to just learn a lot more about myself because I have so much space, right? Like, to myself, and why I do what I do, why I say what I say, why I react the way that I react, and just really looking deeper and looking at what's there for me and why I do what I do. So more time to think, I'd say. Interesting.
What about you, Mickey? And you and I are just tied into that face-to-face marketing. I love it. You love it. And yet now we're having to find a whole new dimension to it.
Yeah, I think that's right. But I guess, as with most people, I'm a kind of strange paradigm insofar as I've made my living from face-to-face marketing, as we call it. and yet I feel most comfortable when I'm on my own. So the kind of inner reflection space that is being created for a lot of people right now, and which most of us human beings run a mile from, I'm really comfortable with. And I know, Adam, you and I have talked about this. I think on the scale of introversion, extroversion, and now apparently one can be an ambivert. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but we're all on some sort of sliding scale. Well, you know, speaking to a dear friend of mine, he was telling me yesterday he can do this standing on his head. He's absolutely fine. Again, I think that depends on your own circumstances. If you're a young parent, oh my God, I bet you can't wait to get out of the house, right? I'm very fortunate. My children, I still measure in months, but to simplify it, one is 26 years old and the other one is 21. So we're all under the same roof. We all tolerate each other. We're all respectful of each other. We're all friends. We all like to hang out. And, you know, we've got food, we've got warmth, we've got toilet paper at the moment, and we've got each other. So, you know, to be alone in one's own mind is either the most terrifying thing for extroverts or the most peaceful experience for introverts. So there's a dichotomy for you, Adam. Yes, I'm missing the social interaction of sitting with people and just shooting the breeze in a physical environment as opposed to a virtual one. But equally, you know what? I can do this standing on my head too. And I'm not being glib. It's just an accident of birth. That's all it is, or nature or nurture, whichever way you want to look at it.
Interesting. You remind me of you've seen that, there's like a video going around where they're interviewing a guy and they're saying, yeah, during the COVID crisis, you can be stuck at home with your wife and kids, and the minute the announcer says that, he goes, B. Because I can empathize. I mean, I have two wonderful teenagers that are very self-sufficient and great to be with. But there are times where I think we all just get a sense of, it would be nice to have other individuals to interact with, right? I don't know what that is, because I love my wife, I love my kids, they're all awesome. And I need more, and I need variety, and I need to interact and exercise other parts of my personality and intelligence and emotions that I don't get necessarily exercised enough with being in. And plus I'm dealing with a role, right? Dealing with the role Adam husband, dealing with the role Adam father. And I get to play with you guys way differently because you don't have that background of relatedness. So that helps me. Anyways, do you guys have any, David, you got 2 young kids and you're a dad and a husband and you work from home. How do you work that out, man?
I just hide.
In your basement?
I disappear and I do other things. You know, I mean, I say that jokingly, but in all truth, that there is that is a function naturally that has just always been there. And actually, what happens with the rest of the family is we just we'll come together and we'll do things together. And
for sure,
quite easily, quite quickly, we're finding ourselves doing our own things as well. And so yeah, there's time we create the space to just explore and do those things on our own. And because we are all fairly creative, it's an investment of energy into the creation of something, whether it is with your hands or using the computer or whatever it is. At any given time in the day, you're going to find somebody creating something. And so our attention is completely focused on that activity. I think that really helps. And I've seen it with Maya's transition into just being an artist as opposed to a designer, where you have to design within parameters for somebody else. Now you're just creating for the sake of creating. There's a very different energy to it. And and there's a therapy to it as well. So she's using wellness as a creativity as a wellness practice, and she's now showing other people how to do that as well. It allows us to just let go of all of those things that show up, and then we leave feeling good, right, about whatever that interaction was, and we can continue doing the thing that might have been a bit mundane prior to, or for whatever the reasons are.
Interesting. How about you, Jennifer? Because you work at home with your husband, right?
Yeah.
I know you have an office as well, but right now you guys are in the house.
Mm-hmm. We are in the house.
You have 2 different offices.
Well, this is usually his space.
There,
I took
Jennifer.
over his space
What's
this
there?
morning. You know, I feel I'm very fortunate. You know, he's my best friend. And so we don't really get under each other's skin. And I think, of course, like any couple, we have our ups and downs, and we really do respect one another's space. So, you know, he's got his space here, which I've taken over this morning. I told him I had a podcast, but I usually work upstairs in my office. And we do have kind of our own spaces, but for most of our calls and trainings and workshops that we're doing, we're together. So we'll, you know, do stuff together. But I think a big part of this whole, you know, COVID that has kept us sane is that we've actually started a new workout challenge. And because of that, every day we have a new workout that we're doing together. So we're getting outside, we're running, we're getting our blood pumping. So it just has that whole other area balanced out. So we're not agitated. Like for me personally, if I don't work out, I am grumpy, I am agitated, I'm on edge. Like I have to release that energy. And after our workouts, I'm in a good space. And so is he. So I think that's been a really big part of it. And of course, you know, we're lucky because we do get to go to our office. So, totally. I mean, today we're going to go to our office for a quick hour or so just to get out of the house, go for a car wash, go to the corner store. Like we're just finding different little field trips to do through.
Yeah, little errands for sure.
Yeah.
I find it super important. I am totally like you. I need the workout. I need some physical stress. I need to go do a run, do a HIIT workout, go to the basement, go on the treadmill on shitty days and do some push-ups and stuff in the basement. Mickey, you're a big fitness buff. How do you do it?
Well, you know, I'm glad you've asked me that question. Yeah, the stress, the adrenaline pumping, the sweat pouring off your brow. These are things I try and avoid. Look, I have various vices, but I was never addicted to what clearly others are in terms of this fitness thing. And I think it was brought into sharp relief. And for me, when the queen of fitness in my day, Jane Fonda, had a heart attack, and you know, I also prescribe to the thought that each human being has roughly a certain amount, or each mammal roughly sufficient heartbeats, you know, whether it's 20,000 or whatever per day. So I try and minimize those.
You're collecting them.
I'm collecting them. The one thing that I do find, talking about technology and fitness and what have you, is I used to not know how well I've slept. And I used to just wake up and I kind of felt okay, you know, after reaching for my first coffee. But now my Fitbit tells me if I've slept well or not. And it kind of fucks me off because sometimes I wake up refreshed and I've only slept 4 hours and one of those was restless. So I instantly feel tired because my Fitbit's telling me.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I mean, I need release from this, right? What do I do? Someone give me advice.
Take it off.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Just
don't wear
it. Do
that. Put it down. Don't pay attention to that. So that is so true. You know, I have this thing about my wife is incredibly disciplined and an inspiration in my life. But when it's 10:30, it doesn't matter. She could have slept 12 hours. And she looks at her clock and she's like, 10:30, time for bed.
Right.
Like, how do you do that? And she sleeps really well, according to her and the Fitbit.
Oh.
Right.
Like, she kills it. I'm the same as you. There are nights where I get, like, I swear to God, maybe 3 hours sleep. If I had a piece of machinery telling me, validating that I slept really poorly, I wouldn't get up. I'd have like the perfect, listen, can you imagine dialing into work? Listen, Fitbit says, can't do it today. Only had 3 hours last night. Here's my plan. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to try to get some things under control. I might show up at 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Right. But you know, one of the reasons I can't take my Fitbit off is I need an alarm to tell me when I get to 10,000 steps, and then I can be sedentary again. So, no, doesn't everyone do that? I mean, is that just me?
I hit 10,000. Turn on the Netflix, grab the popcorn. Let's just call it a day.
Man. Reach for the crisps, or as you guys call them, the chips. Yeah, absolutely, man.
That is awesome. Well, guys, you have been so generous this morning, and it's been a wonderful conversation. This is the kind of stuff I get up for. As I said, I love people. I love all of you guys. And being able to come in, interact, just dialogue, get a different perspective on things. Yeah, if you'd come back some other time, love to do this again. And any closing words? How's this been for you today?
Oh, it's been emotional.
Thanks, Mickey. I can see that. It's written all over your forehead. How about you, Jennifer?
It's been fun. I really enjoyed our time together, and I just want to acknowledge you, Adam, for launching this and having powerful people on the call. I definitely got some value in today's session, a lot of laughs as well, and just the ability to relate to you guys and knowing that we're in this together during this time just gives us more connection and more light. So thank you to all three of you powerful men.
Thank you to being a powerful human being as well, Jennifer.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And David?
Yeah, it was good. No, I'm just joking.
That's it.
Nailed it right there.
Nailed
Exclamation marks, cut, print, and tape.
There's there's a power in the freedom to just be with another human being and to allow whatever to show up as opposed to having an agenda and it's got to go a certain way and we got to follow this. And we with the technology, I feel like it kind of collapses. Okay, we've got to do something now because we're interfacing and like always, Adam, you have a really great way of removing those types of obligations and feelings of like I gotta do and show up a certain way. And so I had fun as always.
Great. Enjoy the rest of your day. Continue to stay awesome because you all are.